Om Namah Shivaya. We'll start this evening with chapter 4, verse 42 of the Ribhu Gita. Ribhu continues to instruct Nadaga and says, I am ever of the nature of consciousness alone. I am the real and the unreal and full of consciousness. Of whatever I am devoid, nothing in the least has been grasped by me. I am ever of the nature of consciousness alone. Just consider deeply what this means. Your nature, the nature of the I, is only consciousness, not anything objective, not with any form, but just consciousness. You are not anything apart from consciousness, so that you could look at it or be ignorant of it. What you are is consciousness, and consciousness alone. Therefore, without a body, without a mind, without an ego, just consciousness, and consciousness alone. You are not a part of consciousness, nor is consciousness a part or aspect of you. What your identity is, what your very existence is thoroughly, without even one little speck left out, pure consciousness, infinite, eternal consciousness. This should be understood as the significance of the word I, and nothing else should be mistaken to be so. I am ever of the nature of consciousness alone. I am the real and the unreal and full of consciousness. By real and unreal, we can understand what is existent and non-existent. Whatever is existent, whatever is non-existent, existence itself and non-existence itself are all of the nature of consciousness, the only true reality, the only actual existence. Existence is consciousness. As existence is perfectly full, without increase and decrease at any time, likewise is it with consciousness. It has no increase, it has no decrease. I am ever of the nature of consciousness alone. I am the real and the unreal and full of consciousness. Always, he says ever, always this is the case. You are consciousness, and you are full of consciousness. There is no other element in you. What is conceived of as existence is just your own consciousness. And whatever is conceived of as non-existent is also just your own consciousness. There is never anything else but consciousness, and that consciousness is the self. There is no other kind of self, and consciousness should not be subject to the imagination of objective conception. Of whatever I am devoid, nothing in the least has been grasped by me. If you are consciousness, pure consciousness, you are devoid of all illusion. You are devoid of birth and death. You are devoid of bondage. You are devoid of an ego, the form of the mind, or a form of the body. Of all this of which you are devoid, when inquiring within, you realize your true nature. You find that that nature, being your only nature, and being absolute, it, because it is one without a second, without anything else whatsoever, and because its nature is one of transcendent freedom. For this self, bondage is not at all. It is quite impossible. If you think, but I have touched these things, I have grasped them, and they seem to have exercised a grasp over me, then dive within, turn within and inquire to realize what in truth you are. And leaving aside all false definition and all that is objectively conceived, you will find that your nature is pure consciousness alone, and that is ever the case. It is not that you become pure consciousness then, but you are not that now. Rather, you ever are pure consciousness alone. Pure means unmixed, but with anything. This consciousness, which alone is yourself, has not been bound by anything. It has not grasped anything. It remains absolutely free. Verse 43. I am without the knot of the heart. From the heart, I am all pervasive. I am devoid of the 6 changes. I am without the 6 sheaths. The opening phrase of the verse is, I am without the knot of the heart. What is meant by the knot of the heart? It is the delusive tying together of the real which ever is, and the unreal, which never is. It is the illusory connection of the self with what is actually not the self at all. Sri Bhagavan has described the knot of the heart as being the illusory connection or tying together, the confusion regarding the self, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, and the insentient body, so that the misidentification, I am the body, the tying together of the self of pure consciousness and the inert form of the body, is this knot. To sever that knot, which is the destruction of delusion, is the purpose of all spiritual endeavor, spiritual practice. If that knot is cut, then all delusion is done away with. Samsara ends right then and there. Suffering becomes impossible. Doubts all scatter, forever gone. And bondage is no more. Cut that knot of the heart. I am without the knot of the heart. Of course, we can understand this statement as Ribhu expressing his freedom from such delusion. But the phrase can also be understood as the I, the self itself, is without the knot of the heart. The self itself does not have this confusion of tying together pure consciousness and the insentient body, the real and the unreal. The confusion regarding the real and the unreal does not belong to the real. To whom does such confusion belong? Not to I. If there seems to be some ignorant one, that itself is the knot of the heart. Inquire, who am I? And destroy that illusion forever. When the illusion of that connection is destroyed, you find that the I, the self, was never bound, never became ignorant, never had this knot of the heart. Of course, this can be said only when one has conclusively realized. Therefore, inquire into the nature of the I. From the heart, I am all pervasive. Heart is to be understood here as the quintessence of one's being. From that heart, I am all pervasive. As long as the self is tied together with the body through that misconception, how can you be all pervasive? You seem to be located in or as a body. But without that knot, viewed from that heart, or the quintessence of one's being, which is entirely bodiless, one's own self is then limitless, all-pervading. Now, if something is truly all-pervading, it is so to such an extent that there is no separate thing left to be called the pervaded. For if there's a separate thing left besides the pervader, then that pervader is not yet all-pervading. The all-pervasive existence, eyeless and bodiless, is the all-pervasive consciousness. It pervades itself. There is no other. To realize how this is so, know your own being, know the nature of your own consciousness. Cease to tie the consciousness with some form of an experience.